Welcome to the Foster Your Passion podcast, where entrepreneurs, who are mostly women, share their passions, their lessons, and leave you feeling uplifted, motivated, and possibly even inspired to go and foster your own passion. I'm your host, Haley Foster, and this is the Foster Your Passion podcast. We are going to jump in and do a little session today with my good friend, Bethany Clemenson, also known as Brittany, but don't call her Brittany. That name is reserved for me. And she is a big life coach, and I'm not going to do her story justice. So I'm going to let her do a quick intro. And then we're just going to jump right in, because thinking about this course and how we want to kick it off, I felt like this was the perfect video to start off with in our video series. So thank you for doing this. I'm truly grateful. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. All right. Well, hi. So I'm Bethany Clemenson, and I reached a point in my life. I was in a corporate job that I thought was my dream job. And at one point it was. I would get goosebumps before I went to work because I was so excited about being there. And I just thought, how could this have happened to me? And then over time, I checked all the boxes and gotten the promotions, and I had the income, and we built our dream house and all these things. And it wasn't so fulfilling anymore because, well, frankly, things don't really fill that hole for you, but I'm kind of a slow learner. So I always think like, God, universe, source, I call Gus, either teaches us with a feather or a 2x4. And I miss the feathers. Like typically I'm like the 2x4 whack on the head kind of girl. So my marriage is falling apart. I didn't know my kids. On the outside, it looked like I was killing it. I was the first to be at work, the last to go home. People called me Superwoman. I wore my busy badge with pride, but I was dying on the inside. I would drink excessively at night and chase the wine with Ambien so I could shut my brain off. And before I drifted off to sleep, every night I would think, this is my life. Is this really all there is? And I was too afraid to tell anybody because I thought I should be happy. After all, I had checked all society's prescribed life boxes. I'd done the things that, I thought you were supposed to do to be happy. And I wasn't. Meanwhile, at work, I worked in senior living and I sat with people as they died. So I saw at the end of their lives, the stories I heard were, I had a good life, and the but was always filled with the things that they really wanted to do. Like, I wish I would have learned to dance. My wife always wanted to dance, but I was too busy working because I had to provide for the family. And then she died suddenly. And now I'll never have that opportunity. Or I wanted to travel. I had a list of places I wanted to go, but my husband didn't. And so I didn't travel. And, now I'm dying. Or I wanted to be a teacher, but my parents told me I should get married. And so I did that, but I regretted it my entire life. And as I dug into the research to see if there was any support to what I was experiencing, I found that the number one regret of the dying was that they weren't brave enough to live life on their terms, to even know that most people don't even take the time to know what it is that they truly want. And so very reluctantly and very skeptically, I started working with a coach, because the only reason I did it is because the coach was offered through my employer, because there's no way in hell I would have put the money out to do that at that time, because I didn't believe in it, but I was just so stuck. I knew something had to give. And working with him changed everything. So over the course of several years, I started speaking and helping people outside of work. Every time my coach would teach me something, I would pull my girlfriends together as hostages on the weekends and make them do the exercises, whether they wanted to or not, like they were captive. And then eventually I decided to step away from my corporate job. And when I did, my coach said, join my company. So fast forward, today I help people break free. I help people lean into the thoughts that are holding them back. It's the best thing I could ever possibly imagine doing. So what I have found is that, our beliefs drive our behavior, and all beliefs are a series of thoughts that we have over and over again. For instance, it's really easy when you start to grow or you start to learn or you drive a level of success that you can come into a program like this or any program if you are willing to come in at all to even think that you might need help. But then when you do get in the program, I already know this, yeah, I'm doing this because Haley's really nice and I'd like to have, the kind of muscles that she has on her arms. That's why I'm doing this. But really, I know all this stuff. And I just want to caution you to be an open book. Our friend Nina, that is in this round of the program that this will be going to, at least initially, she's really good at being open. She's really good at saying, I'm having a learner's mentality. Are we okay, Haley? So as we jump in to this, which this is amazing. I don't know if you all have looked through it, but first of all, every other page is a quote. Oh, that's like my love language. I sat down and read through the entire book. Like I couldn't wait to get to the next page of quotes. I mean, the exercises are cool too, don't get me wrong, but I was like, this is my love language. So, as you launch into this, be careful of your sneaky screw tapes, because we all have them, which is why you probably don't have a level of whatever you're seeking, because that's why you're here, right, in your life. There's some type of thought loop, thought pattern that's blocking that from happening for you. And so, everything you want wants you. And let's just pretend that all there is a stream of well-being, and well-being is just everything that you desire. It's always coming at you, but you can only get it if you are in alignment with it. If you're standing over here and the well-being is here, like it's not going to happen. It's like when you're tuning into a radio station, right? If you're at 690 AM, you're not going to get 101.4 FM music. And so how you vibe, which may sound foreign, it sounded foreign to me at first, is really important that you stay in alignment with what you want. And how do you know you're doing that? It's so simple. I didn't say it was easy. It's so simple. You just feel good, because your emotions are the first indicator of where your vibe is. And so anytime that you aren't at peace, anytime you feel off, anytime you feel discouraged or low, obviously you want to feel those feelings, but then you want to ask yourself, what's the next best thought I can think? Or what's the next thing I can do to raise my level? So in the middle, you don't have to see the words, it's okay. But this here is a line of, below this is everything that's disempowered, low level thinking, low vibe. And everything up here is high vibe. So things down here are like jealousy, grief, which all of us are going to experience. So don't think that you have to live up here all the time. Disappointment, worthlessness, discouragement, despair. But then up here, unconditional love, freedom, integrity, passion, power, self-love, all the things that we all want, right? And so if maybe you're feeling guilty, or maybe you're playing the victim. I was really good at playing the victim. Like I was the victim of everything for years. To think that you're going to go from victimhood all the way up to unconditional love in a thought is crazy. This is all a process. And so everybody can begin to raise their vibe at any moment, anytime. This is a moment to moment practice. What happens over time is, because a belief is only a thought on repeat, right? And our thoughts directly correlate with our emotions, but we can't filter our thoughts because there's 60 to 90,000 a day, which is impossible for us to do, but we can filter our feelings. So the next best thought is your way up, period. The next best thought, the next best way to feel, maybe it's moving your body. Maybe it's dancing it out. Maybe it's having a good cry, screaming into a pillow, beating the water in your pool with a pool noodle, whatever that's safe, right? That can help you basically transmute that energy, because energy isn't created or destroyed. It's just changed. And so if you're going to rise and you're going to have the highest level of results in Haley's program or in anything in life, your focus has to be on one thing and one thing only. How am I feeling? Just notice. So I teach a method inside of my programs called Lens, and it's listening to your body. So noticing when you're feeling off is the L, listen to your body. The E is evaluate, not with judgment, not, oh, I shouldn't be feeling grief. Oh, I shouldn't be the victim. Oh, look, no, it's just, isn't that interesting? I'm off. Okay, great. And if you have the time at that moment, sit with those feelings, allow it to pass. If not, the next step is in, which is next step. What is my next step here? Is this aligned with what I want, with who I want to be? And then you choose that. And the S is show up. How are you going to show up? And so that process over and over and over again, moment to moment, can help you stay in the vibe that you need to be in to have everything that you want in your life and more. So I'll stop
I
talking.
love it. Oh my God, don't stop talking. I love all of this. This is amazing. Amazing. And is this stuff that you go through in your courses that you do? Because I still have to catch up on the shift.
So the very last day of shift, I wrap everything up with the lens method, which is what
Okay.
yeah. So, and then we dive in to actually undoing beliefs and like the deep, heavier work inside of my 4-week Big Life You program. Because I mean, 7 days, I mean, you make impacts, things shift massively. I mean, people have had big results, but it's moment to moment. And when I saw this was 12 weeks, I was so excited because I need more discipline. And I see you and you're like, to me, at least, you seem like the queen of discipline. Like, I don't want to say regimented, but you're clear about what you're putting in your body, about how you're moving your body, about your health, about how you're taking care of yourself. I saw a quote a couple of days ago that said, if you can manage your food and your nutrition, you can do anything in your life, because that discipline that it takes. And I watched you over the weekend in Tennessee model that at every turn. It's not that you didn't ever take a bite of something that you wanted to try or you loved, but I watched you model that. And so I'm so excited to be able to learn that discipline piece. It's discipline is just giving yourself a command and then following through, right? And sometimes I'm not so good at that. I'll show up for everybody else, but I need to work on me in that area.
Yeah.
So
I think it's also about consistency, and it's also about setting the wheels in motion for the little things to become the big habits that become just the way you live. Like it starts as like, all right, this week I'm going to try this, and then this week I'm going to add this on, and then I'm going to add this on, and then I'm going to add this on. It just becomes a habit that you form, and for me, I appreciate the acknowledgement for that, but I know what makes me feel terrible. And so I don't want to feel terrible, because then I'm not living you're not getting the best of me if I feel like shit. And so if I'm eating things that are upsetting my stomach or rushing me to the bathroom, you're not going to get me at my finest. And so that's where, unfortunately, I guess the discipline comes from. I mean, the way I eat, because of my stomach issues, has forced me to have a cleaner life. And so a cleaner life is a clearer brain, right? And so I operate on a different level than I've ever operated on. And like I love sharing like what I'm doing and how it's working for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me. And it makes me feel good. But there were so many things you said in the beginning that I was like, oh my God, I want to talk to her about this. I mean, I think so many people that go through this program are in that mindset. They are in, or they've come out of that mindset. And the reason I started this is because I pivoted in my life and career multiple times. And I feel like people are always asked from the time they're in like first grade, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? But no one asks you, who do you want to be?
Yeah.
And, as far as like your story goes, like that's my TED talk. One day I will do it, but it's the who do you want to be? Because again, when you're lying on it's actually better TED talk for you since you came from that industry. But like when you're lying on your deathbed, it's not about what you wanted to be when you grow up, because you read all the books like The Happiness Advantage or
Right.
or Happier, and I read all those books because I went through this crazy pivot in my life where my marriage was shit and I went the divorce route because I chose happiness, and I couldn't live my life in a unhappy state all the time because again, you weren't getting the best of me. My kids weren't getting the best of me. My business wasn't getting the best of me. You were just getting this shell of a human being that was broken, had cracks all over it. And I think what you said earlier is so important about not living with the regret of like, I should have, or I wish I had. My rabbi gave a sermon this holiday on Yom Kippur, which is when we're repenting for all of our sins. And he tied it into the vaccine, and I'm not even going to go there, but it was about, you know, living your life with regret. But I went right into the corporate world, which was where I thought I should be, because my whole upbringing, my dad was like, you could be at the head of the table at these boardrooms. And he was old school and born in 1926 and served in World War II. And so he was always, you know, seeing these women climbing the corporate ladder, and was, you know, was like, you could do this. Like, you know, these gals, which he called them, these gals are like, you know, leading these meetings and running these companies. And I could see you doing that. And so I was like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And so I went and did it and realized, like, I hate corporate America. This is not for me. Like, this is not filling my cup. This is not making me feel good. Like, you know, I loved what I did while I did it, kind of like you. Like, I loved it. I wore my busy badge and my superwoman cape, and I commuted to the city, or like around this. I lived in the city for 12 years. And then I got to a point where this wasn't for me anymore. Like, I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I started to do things as side hustles like you were
Yeah.
doing, because that's what filled my cup. I was doing
Yeah.
networking events and getting together with women and
Yes.
talking about how we can help each other and support each other
Yes.
and serve each other. And then I went to a business coach, same thing, although I paid for it. And I was like, I need to get out of this company that I started. Like, I had my own company before this company, and I was like, I need to get out. And that sort of just led me to, you know, finding this passion. And, you know, I'm sorry, I totally derailed this whole conversation.
This is good though. This is good, because here's the thing, Haley. Many people just keep going through the motions. They stay stuck. They convince themselves this disappointment and maybe even anger that they're feeling is just normal. And then they go home and they numb out with booze or excessive social media or TV or, you know, sleeping, whatever that is. And then they live their entire lives like that. Like, and I don't necessarily think that maybe anybody in this group, you know, in your group, obviously they're taking steps, but we all have things that we believe that we don't even realize we believe that hold us back. We all do. And this came up as you were talking, and I don't even know how it fits, but I feel like I'm supposed to share it. So I'm just going to share it. So as women, I heard a coach describe this. So that this isn't my thing. I heard a coach do this. And so her name is Tracy Litt. And so I'm going to go through what she talked about, because it stuck with me. And I have been both of these people, and this has played out in my life. But as women, when we're not in alignment, when we're not at peace and ease and in our zone, when we're off emotionally, we're vibing low, we're feeling like shit, we're not in our zone, we typically act one of two ways. One way is overbearing, bossy, you're the bitch, no one's going to tell you anything. You don't listen to other people, you mow people over, you maybe try to delegate, give people a little bit of control, but then you reel it back, and you have to prove your point and be right. Like, or we go the other way, and you're mousy, and you censor, and you hide, and you shrink, and you never care. Oh, I don't care where we go to dinner. I don't care. No, it's all okay. I'm fine. And either way breeds like excessive resentment. And inside you're like this, because, you know, you're trying so hard over here to stomp your feet and bang on your chest and pretend like you're okay. And here you're just thinking, if you just please everybody, if you can just make everyone else around you happy, then okay, then I'll feel good enough, and I'll feel settled, and I'll feel at peace. And really all of that comes from here. And so anytime you're off, it's all about going from wherever you're at in that cycle. Not that you have to be extreme over here or over here, but you're trying to center, you're trying to align. And I've seen that. I mean, I've seen every woman I work with, whenever I explain that, they're like, oh yeah. So at work, I wasn't to the extreme. Initially I was to the extreme of like, I had something to prove, really wasn't smart enough. But then I softened, but I didn't go to the mousy side, but I softened, but I was still like somewhere. I wasn't settled, and I wasn't like banging on my chest. I was in the middle. But at home, I shrunk and I was mousy and I censored and I hid. And I was so full of resentment. The reason that my marriage almost fell apart is, well, I stopped communicating because I couldn't win at home, but I felt like I could win at work. And I was so full of resentment for what I thought that he wanted of me that I was never living up to. And it was all bullshit in my head. It was all my own story. I was full of resentment, and not that he's not demanding. We're both high D's on disc. We're both drivers. We're both type A's. So we're both demanding, but him wanting something and me not agreeing with it doesn't make me wrong. And I just didn't realize that. I didn't realize that for years. And so I just shrunk and hid, and I don't do that anymore. And when I started using my voice and started saying what my preferences were, everything changed in my life. But I never would have been able to do that if I didn't have someone to help me uncover the blind spots, which I'm sure probably is what your coach helped you do too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that is a great synopsis of what we go through as women, and a lot of us that are this like type A personality and pushing and running and doing all the things, like you want something done, give it to a busy person. That's us, right? And then there is the other side of us that's sort of just like, sometimes we need to let someone else take over, or just free up the reins a little bit. But I love this centering, this alignment, because I think it's clearly you think it is too, so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, like women coming into this program, this is really what it's all about. It's about finding like the full package of how do I move this forward? How do I, release some of this stuff over here and release some of this stuff over here so that I could just be in this center. And I don't know if it comes with age, because I feel like at 40, there was like an eye-opening shift for me. And it was that time in my life where I was just like, I need to do the things for me. Like I need to find what makes me happy and live in that place of, like my kids were a little bit older. And I think a lot of women come into this program at that point in their lives where they have something that they want to do, this passion that they want to fulfill, or this service that they want to put out there to the world. And they just need the accountability and the support. And that's what this is really all about. And it's that accountability and that support that breaks you through the things that are holding you back. Did I freeze? Now you're frozen.
You did, but I think I caught the gist of it. You freeze and then went quiet you froze and went quiet for a minute, but I think, yeah, this is so good. There's so much, it's like a marrying of all the things that we need to really move us forward.
Yeah. So give us some tips. Like what can we do to start peeling away the layers of the onion?
So you just have to notice. So if you don't know where in your body it is that you feel things, when you feel off or low, start noticing that. Some people say it's their throat, shoulders, stomach, so heart. I've heard all those. So notice where it is when you are feeling off, and then feeling your feelings. We're not taught. We're taught suck it up, buttercup, big girls don't cry, all those things, right? So sitting with your emotions and allowing them, and you don't have to label. It's not important that it's just that you allow, because what you resist persists. If you just push it down and tamp it down, it just hangs around and it just grows. And so allowing those emotions, for me, I'll scream. And I don't know if you've gotten to that part in shift, but I scream. And I show how to do it. And, I'll sit in my car sometimes, or go into the bathroom and scream into a pillow if nobody's home, but just to work through the emotions. Other times I walk, and I pretty much walk almost every day. And that helps. Sometimes I cry and I walk, and it's okay. We're spiritual beings gifted with an intellect, having a human experience. We're going to encounter all kinds of emotions and all kinds of vibes, and all those emotions lead us to different places. And so when we start to notice in our body, it's our first indicator of when we're on or off, or if we're vibing high or low, then we can up level that. So just thinking that next best thought, once you've moved through the emotions, if you have time to do that in the moment, great. Allow yourself the 30 to 60 seconds to move through the emotions, and then ask yourself, what's the next best thought? I can think. Now, if you're in the middle of a board meeting or giving a presentation, obviously you don't have time to like, one moment I'm going to scream into my arm, like obviously, but you can notice that you're off and then choose how you're going to show up. And how do you know what that is? Well, who is the woman that you want to be? You know, I go through an exercise with people where we define who they are, and that is their set point. That's what they go back to. Okay, what does a confident, kind, accomplished, centered woman do? Okay, she does this. And then you make decisions from that person that you're becoming. Like that's your new set point, not from your current conditions and circumstances, but from who you're becoming. And it's not that who you are is wrong, because you're right where you're supposed to be. If you're hearing this, this is the perfect time. This is right where you're supposed to be. You're not behind. There's nothing that you've done wrong. You know, you're not late to the game. This is exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And this is where you're supposed to start. So embrace that and congratulate yourself for even being here and taking these steps. Because as I said in the beginning, most people don't. They don't take the time to even think about what they're thinking about, to notice what they're feeling, let alone to understand what it is they really want in their lives. And if you're here and you're hearing this, you're doing that. And congratulations and hell yeah, let's do this.
Awesome. Well, that's a great note to end on. We're going to end it on that. So everybody,
Right.
This is Bethany. This is our big life coach. She's going to be in this program with those of you that are in it right now watching this, although I guess the future people will be in it right now watching it too. But you will have a week to jump into Slack and ask Bethany anything. That's part of the week that you get the video of Bethany. You get to ask her anything. So this is her week. Jump in there, ask her some questions. If you're lucky, maybe she'll give you 5 or 10 minutes of her time. So thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you and your time this morning.
Thank you, Haley.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Haley Foster, and I hope you'll join me next time for more inspiring women who are fostering their passions each and every day. Please subscribe wherever you download your podcast and follow us on social media at Fostering 101.